everybody, good evening. Well, I checked our comment section and so far I don't have many questions. So I thought tonight what we would do is we will do a some research on depression, because I know a lot of people have depression, whether it's light depression, heavy depression, where people want to sleep all the time, they just don't feel like doing anything, they don't eat. But I did some research and I came up with a few different things, because I remember when I had my anxiety and depression, they had given me some serotonin, which is usually like Paxil or generic Prozac, and it takes a few weeks, or it took a few weeks to help me anyway. But as I took it over the years, I found out about some of the drawbacks that you can get from serotonin. Not everybody, but, this is my opinion. Remember, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist. Disclaimer. Okay, these 10 signs and symptoms of depression are usually normal. Depression is not just feeling down or having a bad day, a rough day. It's usually more than one day that you feel just out of sorts. You don't even, sometimes you can't even remember words in your head. You lose interest in things that you usually enjoyed doing before. Again, it varies from person to person. But it is also the most common of mental illnesses. So, my mom had depression. I have so many friends that have depression, and there's so many different degrees of depression that you do have to meet with a doctor, meet with a specialist, more than one time, I think, for them to really pay attention to what's really wrong with you, or there's just so many things going around mental illness wise these days, and it's crazy. Being depressed can affect how you think about people, what you think about people, what you think about yourself. Sorry, I have to read my notes because, I'm old. I just want to make sure you get the correct information. It's important to me that everybody that has any of these illnesses gets the correct information if they don't already know it. And if you don't already know it, it would also help you to excuse me. It would also help you to get online and Google it. Google the mental illness you want to find more about. Whether it's you who has it, a child that has it, a friend that has it, you can understand it more the more you know, okay? Most of what I know about depression myself is that, there's a lot of trade-offs with anxiety too. Some of the things that happen, like not feeling like eating, not feeling like taking a shower, not feeling like doing housework. You don't feel like doing nothing but sitting on your behind and just thinking. And that makes it even worse because you're thinking usually negative things if you're like me. So that's not good. Any kind of illness that you have, it's always better to know more about that illness. I have had friends with cancer. Just to give an example that's off the shelf here with mental illness. And a lot of times, the more they just sat around and the more they thought about it, the worse they started feeling. And a lot of them, they ended up with cancer that was too advanced because they didn't catch it in time. They didn't go to doctors. It's hard, I know, for a lot of people because the insurance industry is just terrible nowadays. And people cannot afford the insurance. Companies used to give out insurance, and now many companies don't. And even if you're on Medicare and Medicaid, it doesn't really pay for everything. I mean, you either have a copay or you copay for your medicine. Sometimes the medicine they prescribe, it's not paid for by them. You have to come up with the money. So it's really something. But before I go on, I do know that if there is a medicine that you can't afford, or you're on Medicaid or Medicare and they don't pay for it, or they don't pay enough so that you can cover it, there is two things you can do. One, you can call the manufacturer, and they usually have something set up where you can get your medication at a very low price. Sometimes even free. Like let's just say Pfizer, your medicine was made by Pfizer and you could not afford it. You could call Pfizer and they can, most of the time, get you situated with something that they can send to your house and the medication you need. And it can be free. It might be $30, but that's better than paying $1,000. So keep that in mind. And also, I notice on some feminine products now, a lot of the Medicare Advantage plans and the Medicare plans, they don't want to pay for certain things. And one of the things that they wouldn't pay for me was Premarin. It was Premarin something. You ladies don't know what it is. But they wouldn't cover that. And they said that I had to have that. Well, what ended up happening with my ex-sister-in-law is that she had to have it too. And she couldn't afford to buy it. So her doctor got a hold of a compound pharmacy. A compound pharmacy is somebody who will make the drug for you at a very low price. Usually, it's, it works. It's the same thing. So, the first thing you should do is call the manufacturer of whatever medicine you're trying to get that you can't afford. Ask them about their program to help people who can't afford their medicine. And then if you don't get nowhere there, tell your doctor you need him to call a compound pharmacy so they can make it for you. Excuse me. That's important. And that's not just for mental illness and depression and anxiety medication. It's for all medication, even if you have epilepsy or whatever. Okay, let's see where I was. Most of the time when you first go to a doctor and you tell them, well, I don't know what's wrong with me. I just feel terrible. I feel depressed. I don't feel like doing nothing. I don't want to clean my house. I don't want to go to work. What they usually start out doing is they'll give you a lab test, which is usually a blood test. And they will also conduct a physical exam. That is to make sure that there is not something medical going on that is causing these changes. And they then will ask you a bunch of somewhat personal questions. Some even ask whether mental illness runs in your family, etc., etc. And that's an important question, believe it or not. I know some people don't want to reveal that, but it's an important question for you if you have it and you want to feel better. So, lab tests, physical, and questions that they need to ask you. That's probably the first thing they're going to do when you go to the doctor. And don't be afraid to go to a psychiatrist. Don't be afraid to go to a doctor. I know a lot of people who have, and it just got worse because they didn't take care of it in the beginning. Let's see where I am. There's so many things that can cause depression, like genetics, changes of the seasons, because I get that changes of the seasons garbage, and oh God, I hate that. Personality, life changes, high stress, and some instances, conditions such as a heart attack. And that's true. So, I guess it's better that the doctors do take lab tests, talk to you, and do a physical, because it's better to get all that physical stuff out of the way, because a lot of people do get physical symptoms with anxiety and depression and PTSD and all that. And what's causing it is the illness, but you want to make sure that's what's causing it and it's nothing else, because it could well be. Now, one thing I did find out about the serotonin, I've been taking generic Prozac now for about 18 years, along with my alprazolam, and I take such a low dose of everything. I don't even know how I function that I don't need a higher dose, because for the last, I think with my alprazolam, I've been on one pill of 0.5 for 20 years, okay? And I've never had to bump it up, except the time that I decided, this is crap, I'm quitting all this medicine. I had a real bad blow up. Well, when I had the real bad blow up, they had to put me on more alprazolam and then knock me down later as I got better again. And then I ended up with the generic Prozac, taking that on top of it, because I should have never quit my medicine. But anyway, serotonin, it scared the hell out of me, because serotonin, you can have too much serotonin. And it's better if the doctor explains it to you rather than me. But it can cause a lot of physical symptoms and stuff like that if you have too much serotonin in your body. And most people who are depressed or anxious and stuff like that, they have found that they don't have enough serotonin. But then sometimes what I was reading is that you can also get too much serotonin. So, it's something to go read about. Just type in what happens if you get too much serotonin or whatever, and it'll come up and you can read it, because I'd rather you read it than me tell you something wrong. But yeah, for a long time I was skeptical, because I thought, what if I'm taking too much of this stuff, But they were giving me blood tests pretty regularly, so that's good too, I guess, because they get your levels. But a lot of doctors told me too that it's not just serotonin. That's only one chemical. And anxiety and depression has many reasons and many theories, and that one chemical is not your all magic answer, and I guess that's true. So it might not help some people. I know in the case of my ex-sister-in-law, her and I both have anxiety, and she has to take Paxil. And Paxil didn't do nothing for me. That's how I ended up on generic Prozac, because it didn't help me. Now, it helps her, so that's what I'm saying. We're all individuals, and you have to have a doctor that's willing to check and change medicine if they need to get to where you need to, you're feeling much better. Let's see. Serotonin, from what I hear, also boosts your neuron growth, and that's supposed to be good for depression. And so that's one of the other things that can be very beneficial about taking serotonin. Again, ask your doctor. Make sure, it's not over the counter anyway. You got to get a prescription. So, they say that it's really hard on the doctors to figure out whether you have severe depression or it's just a bad day or a rough day. And it really takes a couple of months, I think, to figure out, depression is depression. You just have one depression day and it can be terrible. So, but they say it's really hard to determine like how long somebody would last with depression. Like, do they need to be on medication long term? Do they need to be on more than one medication? Does this medication work with that medication? It is really hard to decipher. It really is. And now when I was real sick, I didn't care. I wanted you to help me. That was it. I just did not want that feeling anymore. I did not want to be afraid to go in the stores anymore. I was so tired of feeling like I'm gonna die and there's nothing good about this life and blah blah blah. And even though I was seeing a psychiatrist for a while, it took a few months. I would say about 8 months. I quit seeing the psychiatrist and, just got my medicine. But do I still have anxiety attacks and depression attacks? You betcha. I still get them. But they're just not as bad. I can tolerate them better than when I first didn't know what the hell was going on, you know. Let me see here. You know, there is some test on psychcentral.com. I usually try to remember to put that website in my description box because it has such good information, and it has so many people that, you know, they're just like us, you know, they have this, and it's a miserable feeling, and it's like, who wants to go through this, you know? So it's good to get on there. You can find an answer almost to any question that you have about PTSD, anxiety, depression, what have you. So if I was you and you have it, I would have anything, anxiety, PTSD, whatever, I would definitely go join Psych Central. It's free to join. At least it was when I joined, so I'm sure it is now. But just information highway about all these illnesses. And I'd recommend it to anybody. I really would. And don't be afraid to talk to your doctor. You got to be able to talk to your doctor. If you don't feel like he's listening to you and it's not just him having a bad day, then it's time to get you another one. Find a new doctor. Always check the reviews on the doctors before you make the appointment. You know, you're always going to have an unhappy customer. That's a given. But if you see more unhappy customers than you do happy customers, well, you know, you just don't make that call. Let's see. I think that's about it, guys. I wish I could get more people to my channel so they could ask questions, because I know that, I just know that so many people have these things. And sometimes they don't want to ask their doctor. They're embarrassed to ask their doctor. They're, you know, maybe they don't even trust our doctor. You know, I mean, that's sad, but in this day and age, that happens. It's happened to me more than once, you know. But anywho, if you know anybody who has anxiety, panic, depression, what have you, ship them over here to my channel. Share out my channel to them. And, you know, if you have any questions, don't be embarrassed to write them down in the comments. If you are, write them to my email, which is always in my description. And I will not use your name. I will just post the question and try my best to answer that question. If I can't, I will let you know. That's about it, guys. I'm trying to just get us all started here where we can feel comfortable and we can let other people know that this channel is here. And sometimes it just helps to listen to other people and read their comments and, you know, learn that, hey, I'm not the only one that feels this way. So, I'm going to let y'all go for tonight. I've had such a long day, guys. But I just ask you, if you will please give us a thumbs up on this channel. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't. Make sure you hit the bell next to subscribe so you'll get all these videos. And I appreciate y'all stopping by. I really do. And I would love to be able to help people, even though I know my limits because I'm not a doctor. I love you guys. Have a wonderful next few days. I'm going to try to get on here again Wednesday night and do another, hopefully question and answer type dealing. But before I go, I did forget. There are also quizzes on Psych Central about depression, bipolar, anxiety. There's one for, I'm sure, every mental illness. And go there and take that if you want to, and see what your results are. And then you can print them and take them to your doctor. Yeah, it's easier. Trust me, to print anything and take it to your doctor is better than trying to talk to him. I love y'all. I'll talk at you later. Night, night.